Thanks for watching today. If you're an advisor and want to learn more about how Avidian may be able to help you, please visit our website at avidianwealth.com and click the Partner with Avidian link. For more great content, also follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Hi, I'm Jim Atkinson, Managing Partner for Avidian Wealth Solutions. Today I'm speaking with Carter Blackburn, one of our advisors in the early stages of his career. We're going to discuss and learn about how Avidian helps Carter navigate all the nuances and challenges that come with being a young advisor in the wealth management industry. Carter, good to see you.
Good seeing you. Thanks for
joining us.
Yeah, I'm honored. Thanks for having me.
You know, in my experience, there are really sort of four areas that are challenges for young advisors starting out. The first one being, how do you get into this industry? Where do you start? The other being, is it RA or broker-dealer? And then probably the biggest challenge, how do you attract clients? How do you build a book?
Yep.
And then later stages of growing that, if you figure that part of it out, if you get that far, is how do you develop that into a business and surround yourself with the right folks?
Absolutely.
So before we get into that, I'd like to talk about a moment that occurs in most professionals' career in which they have this enlightenment moment. They sort of see the future. This is what I want to do. May come as a child, may come after college. But what was that moment for you?
Yeah, so it might be surprising considering where I'm at now, but it was when I was 5 years old at my 5th birthday party, and it was seeing a magician for the first time.
So you got excited about magic?
I got excited about magic. It was the first time I ever saw something where I said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Do you remember the trick?
I do remember the trick. Yeah, absolutely.
What was that?
It was he had a handkerchief and he put it into his hand, just waved, and it vanished. I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So your parents probably bought you a magic kit?
Yes, many.
Okay, yeah. So I got a magic kit too when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn any of the tricks.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
They're difficult.
They are difficult.
Especially when you're 5.
Yes, absolutely.
As I recall, you obsessed.
I did obsess.
And you got very good.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it worked out. I ended up wanting to legitimately pursue my whole life, you know, figuring out a way to entertain people and do that for a living.
So let's fast forward. You got very good, and you had a career, and you were doing a lot of shows.
Yes.
How many shows were you doing, and when was this?
Yeah, so I didn't give up after I saw that first magician, practiced day and night, all the way up until, really until about 19 years old. I was doing it. I started doing it professionally at about 12. By 14, we were doing somewhere between 200, 300 shows a year, and we got to travel and do the whole thing. It was pretty crazy.
That's pretty darn good for a kid.
Yes.
13 years old to be doing 200 plus shows a year.
Yes.
There must have been a moment where you said, you know, this isn't my future. I loved it, but there's something else for me.
Yeah, that's great. It was almost the more I did it, I actually fell more in love with not just the performing, but actually the business side of it. And I just wanted to find a way eventually to have the business aspect of it, but keep figuring out a way to make an impact in people's lives in a positive way.
So you've got a transition career.
Yes.
It's in ministry. And you land at Second Baptist.
Yes, sir.
Which is the second largest church in the country, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you're right.
So talk about that for a second. How did you land at Second Baptist, and what was your experience there?
Yeah, so I always joked that they hired me to be kind of like an on-staff magician at some point, because what happened was I started doing lots and lots of shows at churches, Second Baptist being one of them. I got extremely involved there, not just from performing, but just becoming a member there and spending time volunteering and hanging out with people. And I got into a couple different Bible studies, and that's when I met some people who were actually in the financial world doing what we do now. And that's when I started to ask questions.
As I recall, that was a Wirehouse channel.
Yes, it was.
Is that correct?
It was.
Okay, so you got exposure to Wirehouse, but you didn't accept the offer.
Yeah, so at that point, I had actually become a pastor at Second Baptist Church. I was kind of just doing shows then as a hobby. And in this Bible study with these guys, I, very quickly started asking questions about, wait a minute, what do y'all do? How does this work? Tell me about the industry. The first part of the industry I was introduced to was the Wirehouse side, which I thought was the side. I knew there was another option, but that was where I kind of pursued a path and learned a lot about that side before RIA.
To that advisor's credit, though, he encouraged you to explore all options.
Yes, he did.
And to look at the entire landscape. Did he recommend looking at RIA?
Yes. So essentially, he walked me through lots and lots of times of hanging out. Basically the basics of the industry, and he told me just straight up, there's two areas that you could go to. There's really two paths. There's either the broker-dealer world or there's the independent fiduciary RIA. And he, being in the wirehouse world, the broker-dealer world, he actually said, let me introduce you to some people here. Let's see what you think. And then if you want, I could also introduce you to some people on the other side as well.
Now, fortunately, in Bible study, you had somebody else who represented the RIA side of the business.
Yes.
Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So after I had a chance to really learn about the broker-dealer side, which obviously was where he was, he also told me, well, there's one other guy in our Bible study who you might want to meet. And if you want to pursue the RIA path, the fiduciary path, this is the guy you want to talk to. And that was Luke, who's our CEO.
Yep. So Luke talked to you about RIA world, fiduciary, explain maybe the differences. And at some point in time, and this is kind of that fork in the road for a lot of young advisors, where you say, you know, it's really RIA for me.
Yes.
And I'd be curious sort of what those factors were. You know, broker-dealer, probably a great guy that introduced you to that world, but you said, no, actually it's this other way. They're both great guys, but I think I like the fiduciary path better.
Absolutely. So I'd say it took a lot of convincing to get Luke to go to lunch with me, and I think my buddy pulled some strings as well. But once he finally agreed, you know, he was busy. He was growing the firm. I, you know, got to ask him, well, what's the biggest difference? What are you trying to build versus what I had just experienced on the broker-dealer side? And when he told me his vision for the culture, vision for the team, vision for collaboration, and for being more of a family office type of experience for clients, I 100% said this is the only path for me. So it was very apparent at that point that if I was going to bring on clients, this is the way I wanted to serve them.
He must have painted a pretty clear picture, because at that time, Avidian was much smaller.
Yes, it was.
It was about 4.5 years ago.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think some of those things really weren't in place yet. Today, they are.
Yes. Yeah, so at the time, there were about 12 employees total, but they were managing about $700 million. So it was a very different time than now. Obviously, now we're at about 56 people total and about $3.1 billion.
Right. So let's talk about AUM for a second.
Yes.
Let's talk about your AUM.
Yes.
So you've been here for 4.5 years. And probably the first 18 months, call it, you're just getting your feet wet, you're acclimating, learning the industry, maybe shadowing some advisors before you really start to take on some of your own clients. So let's just call it 3 years.
Yes. Yes.
So during the course of the 3 years, you've gone from zero to some number of AUM. What's your AUM today?
So today it's 73 million.
73 million. That's pretty good.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
So that's really good. So talk about how you've attracted clients and where those clients came from and how maybe Avidian played a role in this. Because that's probably the hardest part of being an advisor.
Absolutely.
Getting clients, growing your book, because that's where your revenue and obviously your payout comes from. So talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so Avidian played a huge role. So number one, back to just the difference between wirehouse and RIA, I knew that if I was going to attract families that were very successful to partner with me and letting me help manage their investments and help them with their financial lives, I needed to have a good story. And I need to be able to back it up with a good brand. So the story alone between, hey, I can help you with investments and we're a big bank, right, per se, versus, hey, we're a family office firm, we're independent, we're fiduciaries, and we have experts in all these areas. That was a huge differentiator. So that helps a lot. Then having the brand to back it up and saying, here are all the people that are supporting you, Mr. Client, not just me. And here are all the capabilities we have, showing that, backing it up, that's really big. And so that allowed me to talk to many families I already had relationships with and bring them on. But then further than that, Avidian has, as you know, a great lead marketing channel. So we're very big on, you know, we have a great process for as leads come in, closing them as clients and then handing them off to different advisors who will serve those families. So I was a recipient of that early on, and there was also a retiring advisor who was going to basically just retire, not really go anywhere else, and he needed a place to transition some clients. And so at the time, I had the capability and the capacity, and so I was a recipient of that as well.
So your book is kind of a blend of maybe 3 different things.
Yes.
Your own efforts, a retiring advisor, as well as leads that come in through Avidian.
Yes. Definitely.
From what I've seen, as I recall, the book you've built on your own, though, is about 50% of your revenue.
Yes.
So that's pretty good. And I've yet to see a gray hair in you yet.
Yep.
So you're going out there
Yes.
as a young advisor. People can tell you're young. I'm guessing that some of the gray hair that shows up to support you in these meetings is kind of what puts it over the edge.
Yeah, it's extremely helpful because once again, if I, want to become a successful advisor and I want to start young, if I were to just go to a big bank and try to convince families, hey, I'm the expert in all these areas, that's not, in my opinion, as powerful of a story as we have a huge team that are here to support every client in every different financial discipline. We have private deals that a lot of people don't have access to. We have estate planning folks. We have tax planning folks. We have all these great areas. And so it's not just me someone's hiring. They're hiring Avidian as a firm, and I have a huge amount of support.
So we've rolled forward from 5 years old up to today.
Yes.
So what do you see for your future? And do you see that Avidian could play a role in helping you grow the book to where you want to take it?
100%. 100%. I think the future is going to involve, I have a growth rate that I like to maintain, and that's right now about, 20 million a year or so. But what I want to do is continue upping that and getting it more to 30 million a year of growth, and then 40 million, and then 50 million. And I think that's going to involve building out my team even more and having even more support to help with those efforts. And I think you and I get to talk to a lot of advisors at almost every firm in Houston, and there's to this day no firm I've seen that has the capabilities that I believe can get me to the point I want to get to besides Avidian.
There's capabilities, and then there's work-life balance.
Yes.
Right? So Avidian has a lot of tools, technologies, support staff, whatnot, but you have to put in the time and the effort, and it's not easy. You've got a beautiful young girl.
Thank you.
Dora is the sweetest little baby. Love that girl. She's going to be 3?
Almost, yeah,
almost
just
3
about,
years
yeah.
old? Is that right? Yeah. And maybe another one in the future?
Maybe another one, yeah.
Okay. So talk about that work-life balance, how you anticipate doing that going forward. Obviously, Avidian provides a lot that probably makes you efficient, but
yes,
I know family and life outside of work is also important to you.
Yeah, so that is absolutely huge, and I think that's another differentiator because not only do I have the team supporting me so that I can see my family a lot and we can go on trips and do exciting things, but the technology we have also with the team that we get to work with helps us become more efficient. We can have a lot more flexibility. We have processes and procedures that it would take a long time to get into, but we can get into in other episodes where we can talk about other ways that the firm supports people like me, where I feel like it's not just me having to maintain a balance every client, every need, every desire. But I actually have technology, we have great processes, we have a great team, and there's a lot of support. And because of that, I get to hang out with my family a lot and be there for really special moments.
And sometimes you bring the family in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? We have a bit of a family environment. I see a lot of kids running around here.
Yeah.
We encourage that.
Yep.
Seems like everyone here has got babies, kids, or grandkids maybe. It's always fun to see them in the hallways, so it's certainly encouraged here.
Yeah.
Well, Carter, you've got a bright future. You've done a terrific job building your book, and I look forward to watching you continue to grow that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me stop by.
Sure.